85% of Americans say that they hate to wait on hold. Now, every time I hear that stat, I think, yeah, that makes sense. But then I also wonder, who are the other 15%? Are they retired? Are they bored? Do they just totally love smooth jazz, but don't want to pay for a Spotify account? I think we can all agree that waiting sucks, certainly on the phone, but even more so in person. Drives us crazy. Just about the worst way to spend a morning is at an auto repair shop, listening to Jerry Springer at 111 decibels on a crappy television while you regretfully pass the time looking at your Instagram and eating 3, maybe 4 sad cake donuts in a box on a counter. This is neither an efficient nor entertaining way to pass the time. I don't know everything, but I do know this: the more you try to fit in, the more your customers will tune out. That's why I am so excited this week on the Talk Triggers show to tell you a story about one auto repair shop that gives its customers an amazing way to pass the time during their oil change or their flux capacitor adjustment or whatever happens at auto body shops these days. Despite the less than awesome experience that is typically happens when you're in an auto body repair place, times are good for the auto repair biz. Cars are getting increasingly complicated, making DIY front yard mechanics almost obsolete, and the average car or truck in the US is now 11 and a half years old, which is an all-time high. They're making cars better than they used to, actually. And all those potential car customers creates a lot of opportunity for car repair places, but also a ton of competition. In Philadelphia alone, there are 1,182 car repair shops. How can you stand out amidst a sea of overalls and oil changes? Other than being certified to work on certain brands, how can auto repair places differentiate? How can they stand out and create conversation? That's the challenge faced by Patrice Banks, who owns a Philadelphia area repair shop. But by making unconventional choices, Patrice has not only built an incredibly popular business, but has been featured in the New York Times, written a book, been interviewed on NPR by Terry Gross, and has given a rousing TED Talk. But how? Of the more than 1,100 auto repair competitors in Philly, not to mention the 229,000 other auto repair places in the United States, how has Patrice Banks been able to get to the head of the pack using customer conversations? Well, she does it in 2 ways. First, Patrice understands that if you try to be all things to everybody, you end up being nothing to nobody. Relevance is the rocket fuel for word of mouth. Patrice used to be an engineer at DuPont, but she didn't know anything about cars. Knew a lot about stuff, engineer at DuPont, just didn't know cars. She didn't want to take her vehicle to an auto shop and perhaps get taken advantage of as a female that didn't have a lot of car knowledge. So she just decided to teach herself cars. Went to night school, learned all kinds of stuff, and then started an auto repair shop that employs an all-female team of mechanics. That's pretty smart, right? After all, 51% of drivers are female, but just 2% of mechanics. She knew her customer audience and she knew their pain points because she used to be that same audience. And then she built a business exactly to cater to those circumstances. This is what Seth Godin talks about in his new book, This Is Marketing. But Patrice is not satisfied to rest on her many accomplishments. After becoming the Pied Piper for what she calls she-canics, love that, she-canics, Patrice took aim at the auto repair waiting room, the Jerry Springer, the donuts. She knew that she could give her customers a better way to spend time while their vehicles were being worked on. And so she knocked out a wall and built a brilliantly talkable alternative. A full-service salon with hair, nails, massages, facials, the whole thing. Customers talk a lot about Patrice's place, and for good reason. Here's a review from Harshal. This place is amazing. Best auto shop I've ever been to. Was here today for my emissions and state inspection test. They threw in a free manicure at the attached salon. I also got my car maintenance checks done. They were very cost effective and explained the bill in an easy to understand manner. The waiting room is really nice too. They have a TV with Netflix. Remember, in Patrice's business and in yours, competency doesn't create conversations. I don't know everything, but I do know this. Same is lame. If you want your customers to talk about you, and you do, give them something they don't expect. Something like Netflix, not Jerry Springer. Something like an easy to understand mechanic bill. Something like all-female she-canics. And maybe even a manicure at Patrice's place. The Girls Auto Clinic and Clutch Beauty Bar. Next week here on the Talk Triggers show, you'll meet a medical collections company that uses disproportionate empathy, I tell you, to get customers talking. It's actually one of my all-time favorite Talk Triggers case studies. Can't wait to share that with you. To never miss an episode, subscribe right now on YouTube. You can get this show as a podcast too. Just go to wherever you get your audio and search Talk Triggers. See you next week.